Mic check 1 2. Check, check, check. Charlotte Motor Speedway, they're lean, they're mean, they're 5 to 7 horses, a man and machine. They're 4 wide before they start to slip and slide. The Coast to Coast Racing League 350A Modifieds, Pro Late Models, and the 360 Sprint Cars. It's another edition of Monday Night Madness here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network as we get set for another week of fantastic action. We're at the Speed Palace Port Royal Speedway in Pennsylvania. We got a lot of action where anything can happen at any time on the high banks in Pennsylvania. We're so glad you could join us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Marty Sakala with you. Thanks for spending your Monday night with us. So 2 starts here into the 2025 season, and man, oh man, we have had a lot of fun to get the year started right now. 2 weeks on into the season, we're set to go for week number 3, where IL rule gets to be put in effect here. Right now, it is Logan Wentz, Chad Griggs, and Chad Griggs as well, your points leader in the Open 350A Modifieds, and then the 2 Sprint Car divisions, respectively. Last week, good amount of racing we had that went down. Chad Griggs taking the checkered, it went down at Lucas Oil Speedway. Race winners, Gavin Chatham in the Rebels division, Sam Bachman taking the win in week number 2 at Lucas Oil. Then finally Chad Griggs with the win in the Renegades. Under the lights here at the Speed Palace, we're set to go here for qualifying. And we'll get things rolling here. Great car count. Believe we will be sending some drivers home this evening. First driver on the track here, the Bandit, Randall Dixon, in the 011. Hopefully I'm sounding good. If I am, let me know in the chat if I sound better actually as well. I actually just got a new microphone this week. I still got the headset on, but tried out a new microphone to see what you guys think about it on the broadcast. So let me know what you think. Let us know who you're rooting for as well as always in the chat. Good group of drivers here with us then, and as always, good group of fans. Here goes lap 1. Put up on the board, but the driver of the 011, the Bandit, Randall Dixon, sets things up here. 19:59 on lap 1 for the Bandit. Scott Rayome goes quicker though. 19:455 of the FTM Express ride. Harold Klump with the number 2 third as Dylan Kinsey goes quick time. 19:452. Joseph Grandy one-ups him though at a 19:44. There's Hunter Granada, that 518s. He makes his way through turns number 3 and 4. The checkered flag. Michael Vitale though answers back. 19:418. But Grandy puts her back up top. 19:370. Let's watch the jokester Vitale. He makes his way off turn 4. Does he have one better in him? I don't think he does. Invalidated lap from what we are hearing. Randy streams across the line looking for a better lap. 19:67 on lap 2. Kelly Wheeler done on his lap, 5th quickest, 19:47. Clay Christopherson across the line. Putt 19:57 lap 1. Better 19:53 up to 8th. Here's Kurt Schatzer across the start finish line. Superman stays 19:59 and 12th. Gary Offa getting a lap in 25th, 20.04. So it's set to go. First heat race of the evening here for our Open 358s. Heat 1 brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. Let's beat the field and give you your starting lineup. Sam Bachman, the Samaconda on the pole. He's in the 007, and to his outside, it's Brian Dickens in the 122. Row 2, it's Scott Rayome. Slide job Scotty in the number 4. To his outside, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518. Row 3, the Bandit, Randall Dixon in the 011. To his outside, Steven Fernberg in car number 29. The 4th row, Pat Boyce in the PBR number 41. To his outside, it's the Moose himself, Joe Musso in car 28. Final car on the grid, Gary Offutt in the Sim Racing Concepts number 94. So these are the drivers that will be battling for pole position here tonight. Open 358 action brought to you by our friends at Full Throttle Motorsports. They're the conglomerates here in our modified division, whether it be coast to coast or any other division. Two pace laps as we get set to get things going. Steven checking in, rooting for Rick Main, Joseph Grandy. Actually, he roots for Brandon Dittmer. Just happy to see the driver of the 518 go quick time. Ron checking in. All right, good. We're sounding good. That's what I like to hear. All right, so I believe 3 heats here this evening. As always, top 4 transfer. Invert the top 4 prior to taking the green flag. Everyone from 5 down below will head to our B main this evening. You're about to see why Port Royal is one of the craziest tracks on the Coast to Coast Racing League schedule. Set to take the green for Heat 1. Here we go at the Port. Good start from Bachman in that 007. Crossover by Brian Dickens trying to take the race lead away. Not able to do so. Now he looks downstairs On the banking, up the hill he goes, up the hill. Bachman reads it well, crosses over, lap with the line, give it to Bachman, they touch, both of them up on the wall. Oh, Grandy eats tickets. Rayome also caught up in it, the 122 up on two wheels. How Grandy and Rayome each hung onto it, I don't know. The 518, though, down to the third spot. Steven Fernberg takes advantage, and it's up into a transfer position. Musso tries to make the move past Pat Boyce in the race for the fifth spot on the track. Oh, big time contact. Now Grandy even further up and upside down. Fernberg was caught up, same with Dickens. And so this moves the 444 back up to fourth. And how about Joe Musso running third after starting eighth? If we had passing points in effect, he'd be the number one redraw at the moment without question. Sam Bachman, the Samaconda. Anthony Morano out in the chat rooting for him. We're halfway home here in heat race number 1. 4 up and 4 down while they continue to race in that. You look at what happened with Joseph Grandy in the 518. This is off of turn number 4, racing Randall Dixon for a position. Just caught too much of the wall in turn 1 where it angles out and then up and over he goes. Just a wild ride for him. So it's Bachman, Dixon, Musso, Rayome the top 4. Gap between him and Gary Offutt is at 2 seconds. So 2 laps to go here in the heat race. Bachman looking to start on pole position once again. So final lap underway here in this heat. Bachman looking to start on pole. We got a race here. This is for the 4th spot. Gary Offutt. Oh, that's for 5th rather. Gary Offutt. Problem in turns 1 and 2. Dickens takes that. If he finishes 5th, he'll start on pole for the B-main. Checkers wave as Bachman wins heat 1. Dixon 2nd. Musso 3rd and Scott Rayome in 4th. Dickens in 5th. Offutt 6th and Pat Boyce 7th. That's how the field looks after heat 1. So set to go here for heat race number 2 in just a moment. Heat 2 brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. Here's how they line up for heat race number 2. We got the Brew Crew on the pole. Mike Brewer in the 39. And of course the Brew Crew as always is in the house. To his outside is Pup Puck Clay Christofferson in the 51. Row number 2, Kelly Wheeler in the 11. To his outside, the Jokester, Michael Vitale, back with us in the 213. Row 3, Bob DeGood in car number 7. To his outside, Rick Main in the 187. The 4th row, Doc Mike Watson in the 006. To his outside, it's Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Final car on the grid, the Brewer to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. So set for the green here in heat race number 2. As always, our Monday Night Madnesses are brought to you by our friends at Flatline Racing Bodies, proud partner of not just Monday Nights, but also the Renegades and the Flatline Racing Bodies green flag. Winner starts the outside of the front row, and of course the top 4 transfer into the big dance. We're about to find out what happens as the green flag set to wave. Oh! Vitali eats Christofferson. Around goes putt-putt. And Brewer gets hip checked up in the wall as a result. Rick Main, Bob DeGood each say thank you very much. They're up to the 3rd and 4th spot. Main started in 6th. He's already up to 3rd after lap 1. Kelly Wheeler looks on Mike Brewer for that race lead. Rick Main pumps the brakes about it. Wheeler following that 39 for right now. DeGood with company for 4th. Here comes Brian Moore Sr. the 55, but they're door-to-door for the race lead. Wheeler sends it in, takes the race lead. Main nearly to the back of the 39. Here comes DeGood to make it a 4-man horse race for the top spot. On board with Brewer. Can the FTM 39 go around the outside? Wheeler shuts the door. They nearly make contact. Brewer looking for bite here off turn 2. Main stays stuck in 3rd. Bob DeGood currently rounds out the transfer spots. Has both Watson and Moore breathing down his neck. So that's their old DeGood up in the wall. Has to catch it. So Bob taking on for this car for dear life right now. Brian Moore Sr. meanwhile starts to blank. Battle for the final transfer spot on right here, right now. 3 to go in Heat 2. Ooh, really sideways. Quarter panel caught the wall. Chain reaction behind them. Brian Moore up on the wall, and same with Jeff Barker. That puts them down to 7th and 8th. Mike Watson stays alive in 5th. We've got 2 laps to go in Heat race number 2. DeGoods increase his delta to 0.8 of a second. But Wheeler leads on Mike Brewer by a half second. Starts to pull away in this situation. Coming out for turn number 4. White flag waves. Final lap underway. And Watson just lost another spot to Mike Vitali after he got put up on the wall in turn number 2. But going into 3 and 4 here, final time in Heat race number 2, it's Kelly Wheeler in the 110. He'll start in the 2nd spot tonight and takes the win at Port Royal. Mike Brewer 2nd, Rick Main in 3rd, Bob DeGood 4th, Michael Vitali 5th, Doc Watson in 6th, Brian Moore Sr. 7th, Jeff Barker 8th, and Clay Christofferson in 9th. Heat race number 3 brought to you by Maurer Farm Management. Here's the starting lineup as Superman on the pole. Kurt Schetzer in the 218. To his outside, it's Randy Shreves in the 56. Row number 2, Harold Klump in the 2. To his outside, DK Dalen Kinsey in the 639. The 3rd row, good to see Billy Roberts back with us in car 66. To his outside, GJ Boydell in the 014. And in the final row, it's Bud Molyneux in the 883. And Logan Wentz rounds out the field. The AU-18. Final heat race of the night before our B main. So 1 lap to go. I'm kind of curious. Those that are in the YouTube chat, you'll know better than me, but I haven't seen this before. I see Metcalf a top fan and Howard the second top fan. is this to, you know, like, show support and stuff, try and get experience points as you chat? Well, there you go. We should award the top fan something special, like maybe just a shout out or something by the end of the night. No, I'm kidding. All the scammers will come back. We used to have a little inside joke a couple years. Well, actually, we made it public on the broadcast a couple years ago when we have all those you know what's harass and tell us to click on these links for scantily content, to say the least. But regardless of that, we're green for heat race number 3. Schatzer with a good start. Randy Shreves of the 56 underneath, looking for the race lead. Off for turn 4, though. Schatzer leads the opening lap. Roberts wants the triangle spot in from Harold Klump underneath the 66. But now it's Randy Shreves that wants the top spot. 3 cars under a blanket here. And Klump and Roberts nearly forced it 3 wide for spot number 3. Klump hangs on to 4th. He's got 3rd past DK after Kinsey got a little bit high off of turn 4. Shreves nearly clips the wall in turn 2 meanwhile. Schatzer rim riding up top. Starting to pull away here. Nearly 3 wide off of 4. With Kinsey stuck in the middle. Remember, top 4 get in. Everyone else to the B main. And Roberts and Molyneux have to catch it. You can see the paint scuff on the quarter pound of the 66 from the Molyneux contact. Track's starting to get bumpy by the minute. Halfway home in this heat race. Shreves looked low for a moment there on Kinsey for 2nd. Not able to work. Meanwhile, Schatzer has kept that gap constant. 0.6 of a second with 3 laps to go. Back to that race for the final transfer spot. Klump peeks downstairs on Shreves for 3rd. And forced to tuck it back in line. But now what can Billy Roberts do in the 66 to make it in? That quarter panel damage not doing anything bad with the race car right now, as he is there on the Lexan spoiler of the 2. 2 to go. Who's going to guarantee their spot in the show and who has to race one more time before the feature? About to find out. White flag waves. Final lap in Heat 3. Klump up by 0.2 of a second into turn 1. Roberts trying different lines as Klump gets tight off turn 2 up the hill for just a moment. Still with the gap though. Roberts pulls up underneath. They're side by side. Roberts tries to send her deep. You know who's going to win this heat race? It's Kurt Schatzer for the final transfer spot in. Klump. It's Klump who gets it. By just under 0.1 of a second on Billy Roberts. Kinsey and Shreves also make it into the big dance. So Consi time here. Our B main is set. As you see the field start to grid, here's a look at the starting lineup. So Brian Dickens on pole, the 122. To his outside, the jokester Michael Vitale in the 213. Row number 2, Billy Roberts in car 66. To his outside, Gary Offutt in the number 94. Row 3, Doc Watson, Mike Watson in the 006. To his outside, Bud Molyneux in the 883. The 4th row, Pat Boyce, the 41, and Brian Moore Sr. in the 055. Rounding out your top 10, Logan Wentz in the 118, and Steven Fernberg in the 29. The 6th row, the Bird to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513. Next to him, the Professor, G.J. Boydell with the 014. Final row, 100 grand, Joseph Grady in the 518, and Pup Puck, Clay Christopherson in the 051. That is a stacked last row. And we're taking 12 here, sending 2 home, so a little bit of something to keep in mind on. So prepping for the green flag here. Top 12 transfer in. We'll watch the 12th place driver after lap number 1. Brian Dickens and the jokester Michael Vitale bring us to green. Here we go. Last chance showdown. How bad do you want it? Dickens clears with a race lead early here over Michael Vitale. Billy Roberts 4 wide into turn number 3. Brian Moore, Pat Boyce, where the meat and cheese of the sandwich. And Clay Christopherson goes around on the 51. And a big-time contact. Fernberg, Boydell, Offutt. Clay's got a chance to get past this. He's got to get going. And Clay right now is in the show. Fernberg's got to go. This is one of the faster drivers in the field. He's currently the first one out. Gary Offutt will not race in the show. And the leaders are approaching the 29 car. Now let's keep your eye on any drivers that are close to each other on the racetrack. There's Logan, there's Mike Watson. The shower of sparks through 3 and 4, Barker and Grandy. But again, we watch now GJ Boyd out closely. And the gap is increased on Stephen Fernberg at 3 seconds. Watson nearly up on the wall as he races Molyneux for position. Vitale and Roberts still with a lob because of Fernberg stuck in the way. 3 wide, Boyce with a hip check. Look out, we got one driver sideways. I think that was went to the 118. He catches it. There is a hell of a lot happening here in the speed main. Watson, my gosh. That car, each and every moment, is just getting beaten and bruised up. 3 wide off for turn 4. Pat Boyce, for those wondering. In the pits, he has crashed. Stephen Fernberg is in the show. We've got your top 12 all set. A look at the replay and what happened to Boyce. Oh, did he just... I think he had... Oh, no, he blanked out, then had a crash happen. Let's watch Fernberg here in the 29. You see Christopherson spin. Offer catches the wall. And then a couple of drivers got hooked together. Everybody catches it. So Brian Dick is leading. So we're coming to 2 laps to go. This time by Joseph Grandy, despite being involved in the wreck earlier. Quickest car on track, 1953. So everybody is in the show. Don't have to worry about anything in particular. Watson up on the wall once again. Oh, we got a crash. Logan Wentz. Oh, up in the air. Brian Moore Sr. Wentz, though, doesn't have to really worry about anything. 2 laps to go. The gap is big enough where he'll make it in. So he could tow if he wanted to, but just get out of town. Wants to make sure he keeps a starting spot as long as he's not in on the last row. That's all that matters to him, I would assume. Here's Dickens. He makes his way through turns number 3 and 4. Follows GJ Boyd out to the checkered flag. Brian Dickens, your winner in our B main. Roberts second, Vitale third, Molyneux fourth, Barker in fifth, Watson in sixth, Grandy seventh, Brian Moore Sr. eighth, Logan Wentz ninth. There's Clay Christopherson in 10th. GJ Boydell rounds the final corner. He makes the show in 11th, and Stephen Fernberg in 12th. So what's up? So we warm things up. We'll step aside, take a break right here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We're back here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, moments away from featured time. We got 15 seconds left until our first feature grids up. Sam Bachman quickest, 19.568. Brian Dickens second, 1967. Mike Brewer third, 1978. Kelly Wheeler fourth, 1984. Dylan Kinsey fifth, 1985. So we're set to go. First feature of the evening. Let's meet the field and give you your starting lineup. On the pole, Sam Bachman, the Samaconda in the 007. To his outside, it's Kelly Wheeler in the 110. Row number 2, Superman, Kurt Schatzer in the 218. To his outside, the Bandit, Randall Dixon in the 011. Row 3, Mike Brewer in the 39. To his outside, DK, Dylan Kinsey in the 639. The fourth row, the Moose, Joe Musso in the 28, and Rick Main in the 187. Rounding out your top 10, Randy Shreves in the 56, and slide job Scott Rayoma in the 4. Row 6, Bob DeGood in car number 7, and Harold Klump in the 2. Row 7, Brian Dickens in the 122. To his outside, it's Billy Roberts in car number 66. Row 8, it's Michael Vitale, the Jokester in the 213. To his outside, Bud Molyneux in the 883. Row 9, the Bird to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513, and Mike Watson to his outside, Duck in the 006. And row number 10, Joseph Grandy, 100 grand in the 518, and Brian Mort Sr. in the 55. Final 4 spots belong to Logan Wentz in the 118, Putt-Putt Clay Christopherson in the 51, the Professor G.J. Boydell in the 014, and Stephen Fernberg in the 29. Picks to win. Let us know who you got in the chat. Anthony thanks the Samaconda from the poll. All right, Steve King Foundation pace car has made the left-hand turn into pit road. We're set for our first feature of the night and what could be a wild night of action here from the Speed Palace. Flatline Racing Bodies, green flag set to go in the air. Bachman and Wheeler bring us to green. It's time to get it on. Double wide for second on back. Kelly Wheeler, Kurt Schatzer battle for the runner-up spot. And Sam Bachman is checked out of the hotel. He's running away with it. Schatzer in second, Wheeler third. Brewer up on the wall running fourth. Joe Musso rounds out the top 5 at the moment. Wheeler and Schatzer still drag race into turn number 3. Schatzer tries to get the run there up on the cushion. Up the hill he goes. But the first caution flag flies. And we got trouble afterwards. Big crash with Joseph Grandy and company. You know, I think something happened with Grandy before the yellow came, and he never got back going. The drivers just were not aware of it. Let's see what happened here. Just loses it all by himself with Brian Moore Sr. Grandy up on 2 wheels, gets the car going, stuck off the wall. Car comes to a stop. And let's see what brought... So this brings the yellow out without question. Oh, no. No. Oh, no. So that is what happened. Right on board with Kelly Wheeler here. I would be frustrated if I were Kelly. For sure. That is a tough situation to put him in. That's all I'll comment on that. I'd be frustrated if I were Kelly, so Grandy has put her on pit road. That's a situation I get if you're Grandy, you're hoping to stay on the lead lap. But at the same time, you got to hold your brakes in that situation. Unless there was an issue with Joseph. So we'll prepare for our first restart of the night. First caution on lap number 2. Want to say hello to those that are watching in up at Mohawk International Raceway. Super Dirt Car Series race happening right now. Hello to Dino. Hello to the voice of Mohawk, Robert Hill Jr., our good friend. And let's give big congratulations to the big winner last night at Cornwall Motor Speedway. Mr. Excitement, Matt Barber, getting it done at his local track. Big congrats to him. We come back to the green. But obviously the fans were more pumped, even me, excited to see Super Mario Claire take the win with the Super Dirt Car Series and punch his ticket into Super Dirt Week. Schatzer up on the wall in turn 3. 3 wide for third. Randall Dixon trying to thread the needle. So Dixon edges out Schatzer as the sparks fly, as everyone tries to rip the lip through 1 and 2. Trouble in the back, Rick Mayne around. Oh, and stuck up on the wall is the 187, Bob the Good. But Molyneux also caught up in this. And Mayne is stuck. He will not be able to get back down on there unless he has help. Let's see here. I think he'd stay on the lead lap, but look at the wheels. Look how they're stuck underneath the track surface. Yeah, Mayne has no choice, I think. But unless he gets help, you're right on board with him. And I don't think someone's going to come by and give him help unless there's a teammate. Let's watch what happened here to the 187. Yeah, look at all the drivers against Simons, including Bud Molyneux. Dickens and Mayne just simply get together and fight for the same piece of real estate, and that's a very hard hit for Mayne up into the wall. Let's ride on board with him. And just like what the inside door panel says, just some hooked situation there. Right on board with Bud Molyneux. Look how sideways he was off the hip check from Bob DeGood. Thought he was good, and some 2 good licks with that right front, and Boydell catches a piece of it with some airtime. Back to the green flag, 4 laps complete. Watch for the blimp here as they go into turn number 1. The FTM teammates stay side by side for right now. Bachman from pole, Brewer, who started 5th. Randall Dixon, Kurt Schatzer go at it for the 3rd spot on track. And Schatzer able to take it away around the outside and clear. Dylan Kinsey peeks underneath. 3 wide off for 2. Randy Shreve stuck in the middle, and that move did not pay off for DK. May help Brian Dickens at the same time, but the caution flag flies once again. And this time we got Logan Wentz and Rick May, and the craziness is already started here, and I think we'll go single fire the rest of this race because of it. So they had already wrecked. Wentz doesn't know. He has no left front, and that steering is just gone. And I think the second tire there just went away. Now, did anything with Rick Main start this? Nope. I don't believe so. It's right on board with Logan. So, he had already gotten sideways. Let's start there first. I believe it's this restart first off that creates all this chaos. So he's hit from behind. I don't know who that was. I think it's a second hit from Bob Good. So he does know the left front is gone. The wheel is right there, but you know what he's thinking. You know, you don't need the dang left front on these modifieds and lift off the ground. You don't need them. So he's good, but what he doesn't realize is that suspension is just gone. Doesn't know it until he turned in deep. Alright, single file rest of the race, and we're only through 5 laps in this feature so far. Bachman, Brewer, Schatzer, Dixon, Randy Shreves round out the top 5. We're set to come back to the green. Shreves underneath on the 011 for that 4th position, but now it's Brewer looking for the top spot on his teammate. Now we go back to yellow again. Michael Vitale around in turn number 4. It sounds like we got more issues here as well. Joseph Grandy may have been involved in that too. We'll have to see. Here's a look at what happened. Just catches Brian Moore Sr. and Kelly Wheeler as part of that stack. Look at Grandy. Wow, what a ride he took. Let's ride on board with the 518. Up and over he goes, and that's likely going to do it for his night in the modified. We'll see him later on. So ready to come back to the green flag. We'll try this again. I like Anthony's post. Wee! Kickflip. Biggest mover for those wondering in this race so far. Give props to Brian Moore Sr. in the 55, and same with GJ Boydell in the 014. They're each up 9 spots in this race so far. Here we come back to green. 7 laps complete. Schatzer for the 2nd spot. Shreves for the 4th position. Kinsey trying to look even lower too at the same time. Dickens, a little bit of a hip check to Dylan Kinsey. Forces his way through for a spot. And same with Scott Rayone, but I think Scotty may try and race Dickens pretty hard there. He did just that. Got into the back of him. Shreves sideways. Everybody stacks up. We were 4 wide. Kelly Wheeler finds a way to keep it straight. Good golly, Miss Molly. Shreves stuck in the middle, 3 wide as well. That's a battle for the 5th spot on the track. Oh boy, Kinsey and Dickens each up the hill, and Dickens glitches out of the ballpark. His night is done. Same with Rick May in the 187. This race has just gone bananas. Shreves now battles Rayome there. Final spot in the top 5 up for grabs on board the 56. You saw Mike Brewer as well take a peek on Bachman for the race lead. Dylan Kinsey, Randy Shreves in the race there as well. Got trouble with Bud Molyneux as he has crashed to the 883. This time the right front is gone. He'll need that. We stay green for right now. Hopefully he can keep it at a pace where we can stay green as he takes it to pit road safely. A lot of battling happening in the back of the pack, just outside the top 13. Molyneux able to come in with no issues. Let's go side by side here. Jeff Barker, Logan Wentz, good race for 12th on the speedway. Behind them, GJ Boydell racing Michael Vitale for a spot 2. We're halfway home here in this feature. 15 up, 15 down. It's Sam Bachman, our winner last week in a photo finish. 2-second lead on Mike Brewer. We're watching this race for second pretty closely too at the same time. You see Brewer running the slider line to make sure he defends well on Kurt Schatzer. Give props to the man up 12 spots in 10th, Clay Christofferson. After starting all the way back in 22nd, he's climbed his way to the top 10. Jeff Barker, Logan Wentz as well. Wentz trying to fight back after he started back in 21st from his spin in the B-main. Putt wants another spot here. That's for Knight. Slide job on Harold Klump. He takes away the spot. And nearly 3 wide with Wentz in the middle. Crosses over on Brian Moore Sr., who starts to blank and falls back a little bit. Here we go for 4th. Rayome wants another spot here this time with the Bandit. Slide job by Scotty. And Dixon tries to cross over here. Your best battle on the track right here for 4th. On board with the Bandit. You can feel those bumps there off the corner. If you got a butt kicker at home or a more expensive 40X seat like I was sitting on earlier today, you can feel that easily. 10 to go here for the Samaconda. He's increased the gap. 3.5 seconds on the Brew Crew. This has also been a fun race we've been keeping our eye on closely. Shreves and Kinsey and now Billy Roberts and Clay Christopherson starting to enter in this factor. Great exit from Putt coming off turn 4. Roberts knows he's there. Christopherson takes away 8th. How about this 4-car battle here? Hornet's Nest off for turn 2. Kinsey up to 6. Shreve's crisscrosses off the corner. And they rub Nerf bars there. Oh, look at this. Putt, 3 wide off for 4. Kinsey knew he was there. More contact. What a move by Clay Christopherson. From 22nd up to 6th. It's the driver of the Full Throttle Motorsports, number 51. What a drive he has had. His car has come to life on this long run. And we've got 7 laps of racing left to go. Let's go back to the race for a second here. Off for 2. Schetzer all over Brewer. On board the 39. Schetzer decides not to make a run here. Good exit coming though for the 218. And Brewer has to give it the lane. He's right there at the line for second. It was Brewer, the 39, tries to send her deep here into 1 and 2. Schetzer back on the throttle though. Almost makes contact with the wall off the corner. A drag race here into turn 3. Brewer sends her on deep. Schetzer with a beautiful exit off for turn number 4. Can Superman take P2 at the line? Yes, he can. And he's got Brewer clear with 5 to go. Kurt Schatzer has been all over Mike Brewer for that runner-up spot. Took his chance, the right place, right time, and got it. But he'll need something special to come out here. With Sam Bachman up a whopping 5.8 seconds on Kurt Schatzer. Now puts Bob to good an 18th a lap down. Let's go back to this race because this has been fun to watch all over. Dixon, Kinsey, Roberts all battle for 7th. On board DK. Tries to set up his corner exit here on Dixon. Ryan Moore Sr. has took her into pit road. He's done. A counter by the Bandit off for 2. We just had Putt move up another spot. He's through to 4th. Another slider from Randall Dixon. Kinsey tries to cross over once again. We just saw in the foreground there. Putt through to the 4th spot over his teammate. 2 laps to go. My, oh my, this is such a great battle here. Dixon able to clear Kinsey. White flag flies meanwhile. 1 more lap to go for the Sam Makana. Sam Bachman of the Expert Insulation, Swan Speed Shop, Full Throttle Motorsports, number 007, makes his way through the final 2 corners. Back-to-back victories for Sam Bachman as he takes the win at the Port Royal Speedway. 6.9 seconds he wins over Kurt Schatzer. Mike Brewer in 3rd, Clay Christopherson 4th, Scott Riome rounds out the top 5. So Bachman will pull her into the victory lane. And we'll talk to your top 3 in just a matter of moments. I think we may be having some technical difficulties loading up the feature results here on... I don't believe we're going to get some features. We'll have the result graphic for you here, but we'll give you your top 17 on your screen. Sam Bachman, the race winner, by 6.9 seconds over Kurt Schatzer. Biggest mover, obviously, Putt up 18 spots from 22nd up to 4th. A great run for him. Logan Wentz, give credit to, up 11 spots to finish 10th. Jeff Barker finished in 11th. We only had 14 drivers finish on the lead lap. Brian Moore Sr. 18th. Bud Molyneux 19th. Doc Watson in 20th. There's Dickens finishing 21st. Then Rick Main, Stephen Fernberg, Joseph Grandy round out the field. But there's your top 17. We'll check and see if they're all in here. You know what I just realized? I just realized I wasn't even in the Discord. My apologies for that. Give us one moment here while we work that out. All right, they're starting to come into formation. I think they were concerned for just a moment there. So let's start with a man that finished in third, and Mike Brewer. Mike, it's Marty. Got a copy. Try. Oh, yep. There we go. We got you. Alrighty, a great run from you tonight, sir. Take us through that race.
Yeah, it was tough. Big track like this, just learning to set up, threw some changes at it after warm-ups, just kind of like a test session there, and um, ended up being a little too high on the gear. So running that top, I don't know, it was just too much. Hats off to Bachman there. He smoked us. I couldn't even see him anymore, and Schatzer there. I ended up just running the bottom, just let him get around me because I knew he was faster than me. I couldn't hold it up on the top there, but got in the wall there. Like lap 10 messed my front end up too, so it was kind of a handful. But all in all, a pretty good race. So
That battle for a second looked to be a lot of fun between you and Schatzer there in the end.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. I noticed I could get off the corner there a little bit better, and I was like, you know what, I'll make it interesting and throw a couple slide jobs in there. I probably wasn't going to be able to get by him, but might as well make it interesting, right?
Absolutely. But a great run for you, though. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
All the guys over there at Full Throttle Motorsports, great group of guys, man. Hats off to them. Um, you for broadcasting, everybody over there coast to coast, everybody out there watching.
All right.
Yep. Got it.
All right, sounds good. If you can get Sam into the room for me, too, that'd be great. I don't think he realized I wasn't in the broadcast room originally. So we'll let you go, though.
Okay.
Great job tonight. Congrats on the run.
Thanks, Marty.
So there's Mike Brewer, our third place finisher. Let's go to P2 and Kurt Schatzer. Nice run for you. Take me through that pass in the end to get by Mike.
Yeah, hey Marty. Yeah, it was a really good race there. I didn't know if I was really going to have anything for him there at the beginning. The car was set up really tight there at the beginning. It was I don't know if I was just heavy on the gas or what, but it was picking up and pushing on me a little bit. But as the race went on, I was able to get on it harder and harder and run them guys back down a little bit. Well, Mike at least, and looked like he might have been searching for a little while and trying some shallow slider lines and moving around, and he just left it outside open for me. Just one too many laps, and I was able to get to the top of them there. And I gave hats out to him. He really did a really good clean race, and yeah, it was fun.
What do you like about this track from your perspective? I know this was a crazy race to say the least. It's always crazy when we come here, but what do you like about this track?
Oh, banging the boards in 1 and 2. I just love going in there, hitting that bump and mashing that gas and seeing how we make it out the other end. I mean, this is about 2 hours from my house there. It's kind of a local track here between here and Williams Grove.
A good run for you, though. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
Yeah, man, it's been a while. Let me see if I can remember. Dirt Track Bank, Jay, everything they do to help racers all around the country. The team, Hammer Down Racing, Brian Dickens, he's our setup guy. Brandon Templeton, he couldn't make it out tonight. He got daughter's softball. And Joe Halter, Got Your Six Racing Network. Coast to Coast, you coming out and doing an awesome broadcast. I caught you the other night on, what's that, Land of Legends?
Yep. Thanks
And
for tuning in.
Dude, you're awesome. I can't wait, man. We're going to see you on Dirt Vision one day or Flow.
You might as well tune in Thursday night on the Super Dirt Car Series race.
Yeah, you're climbing the ranks, buddy.
My
You do a phenomenal job.
appreciate it. Yeah, the sprint car series I work for, CRSA, we're on the undercard, so make sure you tune in on Dirt Vision Thursday night, all right?
I definitely will.
All right, I'll be on there. All right, thanks, Kurt. Nice job tonight.
Yep. Thank you. See ya.
Superman Kurt Schatzer, our second place finisher. And let's go to Victory Lane and talk with your winner. Back to back, yep. A boom like that for Sam Bachman. He laid the boom on them for sure. A whopping 6.9 second win. The mic is all yours, man.
Oh yeah, I just had a pretty good car up top. This is probably one of my favorite tracks, to be honest, especially when it's just glued to the top and I can just hit the cushion and get into the wall a little bit and set sail. But I just knew if I kept hitting my marks, I'd probably be pretty good and hard to beat, and I guess that's what kind of happened.
Where do you feel you were better than everyone else out there?
I think maybe through 3 and 4, you kind of gotta like really throw the car in. If you don't, you're gonna get really tight and push right up into the wall. So I was kind of throwing it in a little harder. I think maybe everybody was just going a little bit a lane lower, trying to slide up into the cushion. But I was a little more higher, I felt like.
Well, great run though for you tonight. Who do you want to give shout outs to?
Oh, all the boys over at FTM for sponsoring this and helping out here and help me out. Gunner at Swan Speed Shop, he's really been working hard on the dig. Dean over at Super Dirt Car Series, Expert Installation, Marty, you for broadcasting and Coast to Coast.
Alrighty, we'll let you go. Great job tonight, and we'll talk to you hopefully next week.
Thank you.
Sam Bachman, your winner. We'll step aside when we come back. The Rebels take flight on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion, trying to be a
bit of a hiatus, so let's get right when we talked about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Racetracks and Sunsets, CC Dean Reynolds, when you watch this on demand. Set to go here for our next division of the evening, and that, of course, is our Rebels. Now, something to keep in mind here, because we are in week 3 of our 2025 summer season. This is when the IL goes into effect. You get 2 weeks, regardless of your IL. Then week 3 is when your IL goes into effect. If you want to make the top 5 in the charts, we got to have an IL. I believe it's under 200. We'll have to double check on that. 12 drivers, though, with us here tonight. JT Bandy making his debut, top of the charts, 1551. Followed by, is that who I think it is? Chris Schaefer back with us? Holy moly, I got to confirm that. That is Chris Schaefer. He is back with us. Good to see him back. Whenever our Coast to Coast alumni make their way out of AFK mode. So here we go for qualifying. We'll watch first guy on the track, Steve Maurer, Mr. GM in the 888, or Mr. Chevy in the 888. Have a couple of drivers here that'll set the bar in qualifying. We'll go to Teddy York in the 09 as he starts things off, 15.764. Doc Watson second. Chris Schaefer, quick time, 15.717 for the driver, the number 19. Your second lap time off just a little bit. Here comes Schaefer off the corner. Does he have a better lap in him? Isaac Bowman, look out for him. He's purple in Sector 2. He's second quick, 15.73. So keep an eye here. His first sector in the green needs just 100th of a second, and he takes her to the top. Better off turn 4. We'll have to see. It's going to be close. 15,800. It did not get it. Off by 11 thousandths of a second. So just wait on 3 drivers left to qualify. Gary Offa, Jeff Barker, Bud Molyneux. And I don't think they'll get a chance to put some laps up here. I love how Bowman actually went on the scales there to make sure he made weight. I know 305, it's 1550. I can't remember the minimum weight for a 360 sprint car. You know what? I could actually look right now at my local series' website. Obviously, every series depends. Alrighty, time for Heat 1. Here's the starting lineup. First of 2 heats brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. As the Moose is on the pole, Joe Musso in car number 28 to his outside, Pat Boyce in the 41. Row 2, JT Bandy making his debut with us in the 81 to his outside, the return of Chris Schaefer in the number 19. Row 3, Jeff Kemper in the 181. And to his outside, it's Steve Maller in the 888. Bud Malinu rounds out the grid, starting 7th in the number 883. So field off at turn number 4. And again, if you're just joining us here on the Coast to Coast Racing Network, glad you could join us. Let's know who you're rooting for in the chat. A lot of guys happy to see Sam Bachman go back-to-back here this evening. Good view count right now at 17 for the Rebels. Let's see if we can hit 20, maybe 25 by the time we get to the Renegades. So tell your friends to tune in here to tonight's action. Green flag is out here. Winner starts on pole 4 tonight. Here we go. Pat Boyce around the outside of Joe Musso takes the lead away. Chris Schaefer wants to move up to second past the 28. Man, oh man, they were close to banging wheels there. Entering the corner, which would have sent both of them sideways without question. JT Bandy moves up to third. Lap number 1, though, led by Pat Boyce. Get everyone transfers in to the feature. Schaefer, though, quickest in qualifying. And he's quick right now. 15:74 on track. Chasing down the man, the Salty Dogs, number 41. Let's go to that race for 4th between Musso and Kemper. On board with the man in the Young Gun Creations machine. Steve Maurer closing in on both of them. Maurer nearly gets the wall there, really sideways at the exit of turn number 4. Boyce's gap stays consistent there over Chris Schaefer and JT Bandy. 0.2 of a second over the driver, the number 19. Bandy testing the bottom side of the track. He stays put in 3rd. How does Schaefer set this up? On Pat Boyce for the lead. Does he try the slide job here? Oh, wow! Hang on to there, Schaefer. Too much yaw there in turn 3. Is able to catch it. Wow! That may be one of the best saves I've ever seen in this series. Because that car can easily go sideways like that. But again, only up 1 spot at the moment, so JT Bandy trying to take advantage of this. Just set the quickest lap last time by. 15:66. This is the battle for pole position here in tonight's 30-lap feature. Boyce or Bandy, who's it going to be off the corner? Checkers way. Pat Boyce wins Heat 1. Bandy 2nd, Schaefer 3rd, Musso 4th, Kemper 5th, Maurer 6th, and Molyneux in 7th. So here we go for heat race number 2, brought to you by Regency Home Inspections. Final heat race of the night. As Mike Watson on the pole in the 006 to his outside. It's Cale Bixler, the sergeant in the 789. Ted York inside of row 2 in the 009 to his outside. It's the 9 of Isaac Bowman. Final row here, G.J. Boydell, the Canadian in the 014. The professor starts next to Gary Offutt in the 94. Can confirm in the local series in my area. Minimum weight 1,500. With the driver and the gear in the car. So field off for turn number 2. This will determine the outside part of our grid this evening. Here we go. Green flag. Heat 2 is on. Oh boy, York up the hill. Nearly hits Cale Bixler, but he hits Bowman underneath for the race lead. Wasting no time from 4th to 1st. Isaac Bowman. See you later. The sprint car is getting smaller in the back. Wild race here for second. Near contact between York and Watson. Going down the back. Cale Bixler appears to be blanking in that 789. Bowman, quickest car on track, 16:07 on board with York as he tries to take away the second spot. Through 3 and 4, Watson still hanging on. York, what a lap time. Slider through 1 and 2. He takes it. Watson tries to counter, though. Big slider again by Watson. Man, we are seeing more sliders in the Rebels race tonight than you get at your local Chili's or Applebee's. In the words of my good buddy Stephen Ovens. Watson ignites the wall there for just a moment. He wants more. We're going to see another slider here. Slide job city. Oh! Couldn't get the lane there. Cale Bixler extremely sideways. Look at the rear ends coming out from underneath. But everybody hanging on to their race cars. Oh boy, they nearly touch. Watson up for the wall. 2 laps to go here at heat race number 2. This is only the heat races, and I'm on the edge of my seat. Holy smokes, Watson goes deep. Oh boy, and the wall goes Watson. He hangs on to it. Damage off the tail tank though. Final lap underway. Isaac Bowman leads by a second. But we're watching the race for 3rd. You know who's going to win it though. And you know who's going to finish 2nd. Slider by Cale Bixler. And that helps him out get the 3rd spot over Mike Watson. Give it up for the Rebels in the heat races. How in the world did nobody reckon that? Unbelievable. So we'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, feature time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Warm-ups wrapping up here at Port Royal Speedway as JT Bandy the quickest, 15:8.99 over Pat Boyce, Ted York, Chris Schaefer, and Jeff Kemper. So we're set to take the green flag here for 30 laps for the Rebels. Top 5 transfer to Renegades pending IL. Here's a look at the starting lineup. On the pole, Pat Boyce to the number 41 to his outside, Isaac Bowman in the 9. Row 2, JT Bandy in car number 81 to his outside, it's Ted York in the 009. Row 3, Chris Schaefer in the number 19 to his outside, Cale Bixler in the 789. Row 4, Joe Musso in the 28 and Mike Watson in the 006. Rounding out the top 10, it is Jeff Kemper in the 181 and to his outside, Gary Offfoot in the 94. And in the 6th row, Steve Maurer in the 888 and J.J. Boydell with the 014. Final row this evening, Bud Molyneux in the 883. That's the 13-car field for tonight's feature this evening. Time to make your picks to win, everyone in the chat. It's a tough one right now at the moment. I'm going to go with Isaac Bowman from second here tonight. He's in a good spot. Let's see who's checking in. Eddie Musso says Moose are back. Same with Milan, rooting for the Moose. And Eddie says is very happy to see the Evernham 9 back once again. That, of course, Chris Schaefer starting in 5th tonight. So Steve King Foundation pace car has made the left-hand turn onto pit road. Second time tonight where it is time to shake and bake. Pat Boyce, Isaac Bowman, bring us to green. Top 5 transfer to Renegades. It's time to get it on. Whoa, hang on. Hang on there. Man, what a save from JT Bandy. Pat Boyce off for turn 4, leads lap 1. Isaac Bowman runs second. Bandy and York battle for the 3rd spot. York nearly bikes it there in turn 1. That's something we got to keep an eye on here. As the track starts to slick it up, it gets a lot easier to bike these cars on the outside. A lot similar to what we see at Knoxville from time to time. York gets through to 3rd. Bandy drops down to 4th. Cale Bixler rounds out the top 5. So Bixler and Musso to race for that final spot in the show. Musso really sideways off for turn 4. Has to catch it. Here we go. Wing to wing for second down the back. York and Bowman battling. The 9 car goes up the hill just a little bit. And that allows Bandy to close in for 3rd. JT with, I believe, some relation to Jesse Bandy. I'll have to, if he does finish in the top 3, we will have to ask him about that after the race, but we'll love to make his Renegades debut tonight, that's for sure. Way underneath there on Isaac Bowman for the bottom step of the podium. Now look at this, great 3 and 4 for Ted York. Pat Boyce really sideways across the line. New leader, Ted York. Oh, but York gets sideways. Slide job by Pat Boyce. Beautiful move. Boyce gets back out in front. That is not scared at the line, but Boyce leaves the door open. Top shelf for Mama Highs the cookies. And the cookies nearly spilled for one man. Pat Boyce has to catch it, and he lost a lot of time there to Ted York. Bowman forced a left there off the corner, and now York up in the wall. Goodness me, this is some wild racing for third. My goodness, I thought Bowman was going to catch Pat Boyce, and I think we just had one driver nearly go out of the ballpark, and that was Cale Bixler. These drivers are driving like their life is on the line here at Port Royal Speedway. York starting to pull away from Pat Boyce, gap and a half second. Bandy challenging on the 41 for P2. Diamonds his way through 3 and 4. Look out! Oh, Boyce to the wall bad. That car damaged. I think a toe link broke on the 41. How the car was able to keep it straight, I don't know. Isaac Bowman may have some damage in his number 9 too. Wow. So Bandy, despite the light contact, makes his way through up to second. And now we take a look at the final spot on the line for Renegades. Chris Schaefer for fifth. Bixler sideways. The catch in the middle of the corners. Look how sideways they're getting, and Mike Watson just paid the price. Top wing gone, right front maybe gone. Yep, it's gone. It is gone. Could lead to our first caution flag of the evening. Gotta find a way to pull that into pit road. And he does. Will stay green. Behind him, the race for the race lead. JT Bandy all over Ted York in turn 3. On board with the number 009. Bandy trying to get the draft there in the center of 1 and 2. Let's see if he grabs some slipstream. Gap is a half car length through 3 and 4. Oh, man, York really sideways. Bandy doesn't pull on the line to try and make the move. We're halfway home. 15 up, 15 down. Bandy looks for the race lead, can't get it. This is some great racing for the top spot. First ever start for JT Bandy in the Rebels division. Is trying to find some sort of way to take the race lead from Ted York back on board with the 81. Underneath for the race lead. York leads it over the line. Bandy throws it in with a slide job for the top spot. Nearly bikes it through turn 2. He takes the race lead away. Cale Bixler makes his way into pit road. York trying to throw it in as well, but Bandy able to pull away off turn 4 to take the point. 12 laps to go. And man, oh man, what a lap time. He took away 0.6 of a second from Ted York, and now he works out lap traffic. First driver is Steve Maurer, in the 888. So it's Bandy, York, Bowman by himself in third, Pat Boyce in fourth, Chris Schaefer rounds out the top 5 up 0.7 of a second on the Moose. Here comes Jeff Kemper, a past Rebels winner, the 181 underneath. Musso up on the wall, though, in 6th. 10 laps of race to go. Could happen here for JT Bandy in that number 81 tonight. More lap traffic approaching. That's GJ Boydell in the 014. 8 laps to go from his first win in the Rebels. Could it come here tonight? That's the question we're all wondering. Al makes his way past Gary Offut. Working on Bud Molyneux in the 883 car. Shut the door on him for just a moment. Gap is up 1.9. Wow. Often Boydell raised position. Oh, Ted York up at the wall. All good though for right now. Bandy running a little bit lower. I don't know if what's going on with that, but I think it's just issues trying to get past lap traffic. All is good, though, but the lead cut down to 1.4 seconds with 5 laps of racing to go. With the 2 best cars on the racetrack, York. A lot of ground on the man in third, Isaac Bowman, up 7.1 seconds. Mike Watson's pulled her onto the pit road, pulled her back onto pit road once again. Let's watch Pat Boyce and Joe Musso. Final spot in Renegades on the line, pending IO. 3 laps to go, on board with the Moose. Look underneath on Boyce there for just a moment. Boyce would love to take home a bone this week. Of course, Salty Dogs are the official sponsor of our Rebels division. Ooh, man, Musso sideways. He had an opening there to take away 5th, but didn't take advantage of it with 2 laps remaining. There's Bandy the 81 as he watches the battle for 5th right in front of him. He just wants to take the white flag at this point. Sees it in the air and it waves. 1 lap to go. The next generation, possibly. The newest driver of the Velocity Race Design, Bandy Built Racing, number 81. Makes his way through 3 and 4. His first ever start in Rebels, and we've got a first-time winner! JT Bandy takes the win. Ted York in second. Isaac Bowman third. Far back in third, I should say. Chris Schaefer in fourth, in the battle for the final spot in the Renegades. Pat Boyce over Joe Musso. But folks, it is JT Bandy that gets the job done. Congrats to the driver, the number 81, on a fantastic result. So there are the 13 drivers. Bandy the win. York second. Bowman third. Schaefer fourth. Boyce fifth. Musso sixth. Kemper seventh. Gary Offa eighth. Bud Molyneux ninth. And G.J. Boydell rounds out the top 10. Steve Bauer 11th. Cale Bixler 12th. Mike Watson 13th. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, tonight for our Rebels division. No cautions in this feature. Those are just things you just absolutely love to see. So we'll talk to your winner. The first guy we'll talk to here is JT Bandy. JT, welcome to Coast, and welcome to Victory Lane. Before we talk about your run, what's the relation to Jesse?
Jesse, my brother, he finally convinced me to get on the sim and just been having a fun time.
Younger or older?
He's a little bit older.
Okay. Well, it is great to see you in Victory Lane. What pointers, I'm curious, did you take from him in this race, without giving too much away, obviously?
He just said keep the car nice and smooth, and tried our best to do that, and just had some fun.
Take me through that pass for the race lead on Ted York.
Yeah, I didn't really know where to go, and I knew the top was really good, and just kind of waiting for a mistake out of him, and finally mustered up the courage for a slide job, and somehow got past him.
Looked like a lot of you guys were hanging on for dear life. Was that track pretty rough out there, or slicking up as much as it did?
Yeah, it felt pretty rough up top, but down low was nice and smooth. Just not a whole lot of speed down there.
Well, a great run for you tonight. You going to run Renegades with us in a bit?
I'm hoping to.
Alrighty. Who you want to give shout-outs to?
Just got to thank Jesse and Velocity Race Design.
Alrighty. Well, we'll let you go. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Your first ever Rebels win. Enjoy that sticker when you get it, alright?
Thank you.
JT Bandy, the older brother of Jesse Bandy, takes the win. To, let's go to second place finisher here. Don't worry, Isaac, we'll get you in just a moment. Second place finisher, Ted York. Ted, a good start early there, but what more do you need for JT?
Needed fuel. I was going to run out of fuel. I had to pedal it the last 10 laps or so.
So you actually weren't able to go really full throttle there in in that second half of the race the way you wanted to?
No, I couldn't. I knew I was close on fuel. I thought it was about 2 laps to the good, and I just about ran out on the pace lap. Cool down lap, rather.
Gotcha. How was this race car, though, as a whole tonight? You looked really fast. Obviously, took the lead from Pat Boyce just past lap 10 or so.
It was really good, especially in 3 and 4 early, and then I kind of lost it, and JT got to me. And then I kind of just followed around him for a while. I didn't have the speed he did late, like he did late.
Well, still, though, a great run. Who do you want to give shout-outs to?
School of Sim Racing, National Auto Racing Club. You guys for putting it on. Yeah, that's about it.
Alrighty. We'll let you go. Great job tonight, Ted. And will we see you in Renegade?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, sounds good. Best of luck. And let's round out the podium here. We'll get Isaac Bowman to unmute his mic. Isaac, a great run for you here this evening. But I'll give you credit. You looked really fast, especially in your heat race.
Well, thank you. Just joined this, having a lot of fun, and looking forward to more races.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Where'd you feel your car was really good tonight?
1 and 2, I kept over driving, and 3 and 4, first couple laps, fell behind, just had to settle in.
Gotcha. Well, still, though, a great car tonight. You looked really fast out there. Are we going to see you in Renegades in a little bit?
Yeah, looking join it for
Awesome.
sure.
Awesome. Great to hear. Well, who do you want to give shout-outs to before we let you go?
Excel Sim Sports. They're just joined them, and they're a lot of fun to be with.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, great job tonight. We'll see you in Renegades hopefully in just a little bit.
Sounds good. Thank you for putting this on. Looking forward to more races.
Absolutely. Isaac Bowman rounded out the podium here this evening. We'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, it's Renegades time of the Coast to Coast Racing Network. It's time for another edition of RSN Trackside, powered by Bob Johnson Auto Group on Rock Sports Network. Kiss on the champion. Trying to be a
Bit of a hiatus, so let's get. Tonight we were talking about it.
outpouring of love was amazing. These dollars had come together to support us, and we realized, no, we didn't want to use them for us. We wanted to use them to help others.
The foundation has done so much for so many people. It helps any family that has somebody, whether it be a crew member or one of the drivers, that get hurt. We can help them to get through the situation.
I was injured in a non-wing sprint car accident that broke my neck and left me with a spinal cord injury. I was in the hospital 8 months, and that got really, really expensive. So having that extra help to help push me and my family forward was a big deal.
I was involved in a pretty gnarly sprint car crash. Found out my brain was swelling and bleeding. Pelvic bone was broken. I had 2 cracked vertebrae on my back, and I was in the ICU a little over a week. The Steve King Foundation reached out to my parents. We received a donation from them. Immediately, they started me on what's called neurofeedback, and insurance did not cover the neurofeedback appointments. So we received another donation from the Steve King Foundation. It really helped a lot, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to the Steve King Foundation for everything that they have done for me. This last Sunday, I got to turn laps in my modified here. That was my first laps back in a race car since the accident, and I truly believe that if it wasn't for the Steve King Foundation, I wouldn't be able to do that or be where I'm at today.
Yes, Steve's death is the reason the foundation exists, but it's Steve's life, and it's the lives of racers everywhere, is the reason we're able to do the work we do.
Welcome back to the Coast to Coast Racing Network. We get set to go for the Renegades here for our final race of the night. Renegades is always brought to you by Flatline Racing Bodies. Marty Scala back with you here on the call. So far on the season, 2 different winners in Renegades. Chad Griggs and the boss, Ross Corinna. Griggs, unfortunately, not with us this evening, and so because of that, he'll lose the points lead after 2 races. 2 as of right now, who knows? Ross Corinna, Patrick Spangler, maybe Blake Chapman, who knows what's going to happen. So we're getting set to go here. Good car count. 20 drivers with us here this evening, and we are ready for qualifying. Stephen Fernberg, Randy Shreves, each the quickest in our practice session. So qualifying underway. We'll see the first driver we get onto the racetrack. That's the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in car number 39. First lap time, Spangler sets the bar, 15.737. Stephen Fernberg, you know what, we'll go to Stephen Goldner, second quick, 15.746. Needs 8 thousandths to make up here. And we'll see if the driver, the number 30, can do it. Jesse Bandy, quickest in Sector 1, second quick for the Bandy Milkmaster, 15.73. Off for 4, though, for Stephen, it's slower. Blake Chapman, fourth quick. Let's go to Jesse Bandy, who is 28 thousandths off the pace, though, of Patrick Spangler. His second lap time, though, across the line. 15.80 on lap number 2. Blake Chapman, quick time on lap 2. Who saw that coming? 15.692 for the salesman, who needs to get things going after a tough week. Last week, you're off to use as a drop week. How about the mayor, Steve Bixler, sixth quickest? 6:15.81. And JT Bandy, our Rebels winner, came to play 1573, just about the same time as Jesse Bandy. The brothers off by 0.03 of a second. Terry Landis off turn 4, a past winner in the Renegades. Goes up to 11:15.96. It was an upset win. About 2 years ago, I want to say. Randy Shreves up to 9th, 15.87. That does it for qualifying. Blake Chapman, Patrick Spangler, the top two. So 21 drivers here with us, I believe, if not 20. So we'll have 3 heats this evening. Heat 1 brought to you by Gambler Motorsports. Look at the starting lineup. On the pole, Bob DeGood in the 7 to his outside. It is Chris Schaefer in the number 19. Row 2, JT Bandy in the 81, and the salesman Blake Chapman in the 20. The third row, Brian Moore Sr. in the 55 to his outside, Stephen Fernberg in the 29, and Pat Boyce rounds out the field in 7th. And as we get set for racing here tonight, let's know who you're rooting for in the chat. Got a lot of you tuned in. Gary Spangler checking in, as always. Rooting for Patrick. So we're getting set for heat race number 1. The winner starts on the pole. So everyone makes it into the show. Top 4 drivers transfer into tonight's feature. Remember our Renegade features here set for 35 laps. So if you ran the Rebels, remember you got to add a little extra fuel compared to what you ran in the Rebels division. Sorry about that. Set for the green flag for heat race number 1. Winner on pole. Here we go. Schaefer just a bit up the hill there off of turn 2, but grabs the early lead. Blake Chapman wastes no time, gains 2 spots, and now he wants to grab 3 past Chris Schaefer. Hey, Chris, welcome back to Coast to Coast. Blake Chapman, the salesman's the best right now at the moment. He leads lap 1. Chapman, Schaefer, Bandy, Bob to go. That's the top 4 at the moment. Moore trying around the outside. Crisscrosses underneath for the 4th position on the track. Didn't get as good of an exit compared to the 7 here on board with Bob. Look how sideways that car was on the center of 1 and 2. That's how slick this track likes to get. That's 137 miles an hour coming into your living room, folks. Bandy through to P2. Schaefer wants the spot back. Slide job there on Bandy. Takes the 2nd spot away. Pair of Rebels drivers battling for a 2nd place finish in Heat 1. Now Brian Moore Sr. wants to play a Rebels driver from 1 season ago back in the spring. We're halfway home here. Schaefer hanging on to 3rd, but Brian Moore Sr. wants to take it away. Slide job by the 55. Schaefer tries to counter it back. Sideways, though, is the 19. And now Bob DeGood tries to challenge for the 4th spot. Well, diamond there off turns 1 and 2. Brian Moore Sr. catches the wall down the back. Ooh, Chris a little bit sideways off for 4. And now Bob DeGood up to 4th. With 2 to go in Heat 1. Ooh, Brian Moore Sr. though rides the wall in 1 and 2. May have right front damage. You can see it looks a lot different though. Looking from the front of it. He, got Schaefer, yeeted him there. But then yeet him out the way. I put Schaefer down to 5th though. Fernberg up to the 4th spot. Meanwhile, Blake Chapman already coming to the checkered flag here in heat race number 1. Hit the easy button. Chapman wins. Bandy 2nd. Bob DeGood to come across the line 3rd. Fernberg 4th. Schaefer 5th. Moore 6th. And Pat Boyce in 7th. So good heat 1. We move to heat 2. Brought to you by Regency Home Inspection. As the starting lineup has Rick Mayne on pole position, the 187. To his outside, it's the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer, in the 83. Row number 2, Stephen Goldner in car number 39. Excuse me, in the 30. To his outside, the high side banger, Patrick Spangler, in the 39. Row 3, Ted York in the 009. To his outside, the General, Andy Patton, in the 87. Final car on the grid, it's Barry Goldner in the 36. Good view overhead of Port Royal Speedway. Second of 3 heats here this evening. Hopefully we hit 20 to 25 by the end of the night for view count. So make sure you tell your friends to tune in for some Renegades action. Winner starts outside of the front row next to Blake Chapman.
Green.
Green flag is out for heat race number 2. Mayne with a race lead. Brandon Dittmer, nice draft down the back. Oh, he got. Oh my, Dittmer nearly clipped Rick Mayne. But watch out, Patrick Spangler out of nowhere. High side banger leads lap 1. Rick Mayne with another slider of his own, though, off of the corner. As he hangs on to the race lead. Spangler with a draft, though. But Mayne opened the door up top here. So Dittmer and Spangler, the two teammates, work together. And at the line, Mayne by maybe 1,000th. Slide jobs Patrick Spangler while the 39 gets up on the wall. On board with Spangler. Good draft into turn 1. Sets it up here. Slide job Spangler possibly. Yes, it is. Maybe too much of a slider. No, ripped to the left perfectly. Mayne looks low. Dittmer looks low. Dittmer has to hit the brakes there. Another slider from Rick Mayne. Too much of a slider. Patrick Spangler trying to hang on. What an exit, though, from Rick Mayne. So to stay wing to wing. All borderline to making mistakes here in this heat race. Another slider there from Rick Mayne. Oh, watch out, had to correct it. And it's really sideways. Spangler able to clear. And Mayne up on the wall. He rides it through 1 and 2. That costs a lot of speed. Allows Spangler to run away with it. And now Mayne just trying to defend here on Brandon Dittmer. Look at Stephen Goldner. Where in the world did he come from? Dittmer through to P2. Let some sparks fly. Mayne nearly, look how close they're getting to that wall. I swear, oh my, big crash, big hit from Brandon Dittmer. Side over side, end over end goes the 83. With 1 to go, was looking like it was going to be a promising night for Brandon. He'll start for the back of the field this evening as the field makes the way off to the checkers. Spangler with the win. Mayne in 2nd, Stephen Goldner 3rd, Ted York 4th, Andy Patton 5th, Barry Goldner 6th, and Brandon Dittmer 7th. So let's go to the replay here and see what happened to Brandon. Oh, man, that's an impact and a half. Just some contact there. Let's see if this can get us a good angle. Look at that shot. Rewind that one more time. Look how much airtime he got after that impact. Did a somersault and a half there. Very wild ride. Heat 3 brought to you by Mallard Farm Management. The Desert Demon, Terry Landis on the pole in the 161 to his outside, Randy Shreves, in the 56. Row 2, the Mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75 to his outside, the Bandy Boatmaster, Jesse Bandy in the 49. Row 3, the Bird to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513, and next to him, it's the 51 of John Short. Final car on the grid, Joseph Grandy, 100 grand back with us in the 518. One lap to it to get the green flag. Time for the final heat race of the night. Winner starts inside of row number 2 for our feature this evening. As we're green for heat 3. Good start for Randy Shreves of the 56, able to clear early. Terry Landis, Jesse Bandy, wing to wing for the 2 spot. Bixler follows, and same with John Short, who gets the wall. Oh my! Wheelies all over the place! John Short, Terry Landis, the KSR teammates kept it straight until Short got on 2 wheels and upside down. Oh boy, Dean Reynolds, Brandon Dittmer, if you're watching, they probably have a tear coming down their eye, coming down their face right now, because that was freaking impressive. Meanwhile, it's Randy Shreves, the race leader, over Steve Bixler by 0.7 of a second. Let's just go to replay and watch that. Look at all these wheelies. Landis wheelie, Short wheelie. That's unbelievable. Synchronized wheelies. Right up over TL Buds. Watch Landis. Look at that! Attaboy, Terry. So 3 laps to go in heat race number 3. Shreves leads Bixler. The 75, in fact, has actually cut the gap down just a little bit. Oh, Jeff Barker up on the wall, hangs onto it. Gonna come to the white flag this time by. 1 lap to go for Randy Shreves. New paint job on that 56. We put on last week. Looking to start 3rd in our feature this evening. Bixler tries everything to close in. Won't be enough, though. As the checkers wave, Randy Shreves, your winner in Heat 3. Bixler 2nd, Barker 3rd, Landis 4th, Grandy 5th, Bandy 6th, and John Short in 7th. So we'll step aside, take a break. When we come back, feature time, the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Wrap it up here with our warm-up. Says Rick Mayne the quickest, 16:17. Jesse Bandy second, 16:24. Blake Chapman third, 16:32. Patrick Spangler fourth, 16:47. Stephen Goldner fifth, 16:48. There goes Fernberg. A couple of sidewinders there. And so we are set to go racing. 21 strong, ready for the green flag. We've got 35 laps around the corner. Let's meet the field and give you tonight's starting lineup. On the pole, the salesman, Blake Chapman in the 20 and to his outside. It's the high side banger, Patrick Spangler in the 39. Row number 2, Randy Shreves in the 56 to his outside, JT Bandy in the 81. Row 3, Rick Mayne in the 187 to his outside, the mayor, Steve Bixler in the 75. Row 4, Bobby Good in car number 7 to his outside, Stephen Goldner in the 30. Running out the top 10, the Brewer to Beast, Jeff Barker in the 513 and Stephen Fernberg in the 29. Row 6 is Ted York in the 009 and the Desert Demon, Terry Landis in the 161. Row number 7, it's Chris Schaefer. He's in the 19 and the General Andy Patton in the 87. Row 8, 100 grand, Joseph Grandy in the 518, and Brian Moore Sr. in the 55. Row 9, Barry Goldner in the 36, and John Short in the 51. Row 10, Pat Boyce in the 41, and the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Final car on the grid this evening, Jesse Bandy, the Bandy Boatmaster, in the 49. Speaking of Dittmer, he commented on the live stream and said, "It's so beautiful." BD, I hope, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for Dean. Let Dean see it, but give him a little sneak peek. Text him a sneak peek in our chat afterwards. He won't be looking at his phone ASAP because he's getting ready for a Super Dirt Car Series feature, which, by the way, speaking of which, after we're done here, make sure you go put on Dirt Vision for the SDS race from Mohawk. I'll definitely be tuned into that. Pick to win tonight. I'm going to go with the man starting. You know what? I'm going to say it's someone from the front row. I'm not saying who's going to win. I'm going to say it's someone from the front row. And I'll give you my final prediction with 5 laps to go. How's that? So, before we go, Green, just want to wish everyone a big week for obviously all of us at Coast to Coast, always on this first week of July. Happy Canada Day tomorrow to all of our friends up north of the border. And happy 4th of July to the Americans out there. You know, me being from New York and America, you know what I always like to say, America 1776, we are the champs. As Ricky Stenhouse Jr. once said. But we're focused on this, though. 21 cages, a cold medal, 35 laps. Where else would you rather be than right here, right now? From coast to coast, it's time to wing it and bring it at the Speed Palace, the Salesman, the High Side Banger. It's showtime at Port Royal. Trouble in the back, Randy Shrewsbury sideways. What a save he just made. My goodness, we've had a lot of fantastic saves. Shreves catches the inside wall, though. Lap 1 of the books, though, led by Blake Chapman. Patrick Spangler second. JT Banny in his Renegades debut. First start of the season in Monday Night Madness. In general, rounds out the top 3. Bandy low sideways off 4. Bixler, Stephen Goldner, as well as Rick Main go at it for a spot. Main all the way downstairs in Mama's basement. As he looks for that 5th spot. Can't get it to work there that time. Bobby Good falls in the 2nd spot. Battle for the race lead. Spangler to the outside. Catches the wall. And Chapman hangs on. On board the 39 car. The Renegades at Port Royal. Trouble. Brandon Dittmer in the 83. Keeps it straight. We stay green. I was going to say the Renegades at Port Royal. Always crazy to end the night. You just never know what's going to happen until we take the checkered flag. Let's go to 8th. Ted York. Jeff Barker. Good race here mid-pack. York trying to clear Barker off at turn 4, and he does. Tries to open some delta up on the 513. Spangler last lap, quickest car on track, 16:62. His teammate, though, just took it away. The 16:54, man. Oh, big crash, Stephen Goldner. Around he goes, caution flag waves. Was hard in that inside wall in turn 4. A couple of rotations in midair. Luckily, wheels down and not wheels up this time for the Stephen Goldner Racing number 30. Racing Rick Main for a spot. Oh, just a bad slide job gone wrong. That looked eerily similar if you watched the SDS race from last night at Cornwall. Dalton Slack getting Alex Payne. This time, though, just a little bit worse of an impact. So Goldner will start from the back. And while we wait to go back to green, I believe they're going to give us an extra lap here before the restart, and that is the case. Chance to look at what's coming up here the rest of the week on the Coast to Coast Racing Network. Bear with me if I'm sounding a little quieter. Again, with the new mic, it's looking away from the mic, so not towards the mic each and every time. Throw Night Retread Tuesday. We've got 360s at Fallujah, trucks at Talladega on How to Suck at iRacing. Wednesday night, the Hometown Hero. Shaggy's got the broadcast at 7. 358s and 360s at USA. Thursday night Thunder. Small blocks, big blocks, Eldora. Fleekster's got the coverage at 7 o'clock. Next week, we're back at USA International Speedway, so sort of a tune-up with this race. Similar tracks, and boy, that's going to be a fun one. I love USA International Speedway. Whether it be a sprint car or a modified, Cannot miss out on it one bit. First restart of the night here for the Renegades coming up here. A fifth of the way through. Chapman, Spangler, Bandy, Bixler, and DeGood round out the top fives. Chapman fires. We're back to green. How about Bixler here? Racing JT Bandy for a podium spot. Could consider this the best start for the mayor in any Renegades race, as he runs in fourth. Spangler, though, trying to grab that lead from Blake Chapman, follows him down the back chute. Again, this is a track tonight, high side dominant, but once we start to run out of track here, the high side could be very risky for a bunch of drivers where they may switch downstairs. Just like where Jesse Bandy is. Ted York really sideways. 5 cars under a blanket offer to a Hornet's Nest in the race for fifth. The yellow flies on lap number 10. We had a couple of them around. Rick Main, Pat Boyd, Sandy Patton, Joseph Grandy, Chris Schaefer. Let's see what triggered all this. Ooh, Patton from Landis and up in the air went the 87. Oh my goodness me. We had 3 of them go flying. Upside down there. Pat Boyce on board. Nowhere to go, one bet. And luckily his car stayed on all 4 wheels on board with Andy Patton. What an impact right there. My oh my. Let's go Joseph Grandy here. He may have had the wildest ride of everybody. The hat is gone. Wheels up at the end of that. Couple of sidewinders there. Not been the night Grandy has wanted. It's a night for him to forget. So come back to green this time. We'll watch this from the aerial shot. And it's Blake Chapman, Patrick Spangler, row 1. JT Bandy, Steven Bixler, row 2. Ted York, Bob DeGood in row number 3. Jesse Bandy and Brian Moore Sr., row number 4. Jeff Barker, Randy Shreves round out the top 10. Look at Bixler trying to take away third. 3 wide off for 2. Who gets the bite down the back? The 75 with the advantage. He's got the line, but Bandy shuts it off with a slide job. Bandy to go. Bixler forced to left. Underneath. 2 wide. 3 wide. 1 in the wall. It's Bob DeGood. Everybody keeps her straight. Oh, hang on there, John Short. They were 4 wide in the center of 1 and 2. And Steve Bixler right now with a podium spot, but he opened the door up for the 81. A Bandy to take it back. This is some damn good racing. 4 wide for just a moment once again. Look at this gaggle of cars in the turn 3, led by Jesse Bandy, who started 21st in this race. Demmer up on the wall. Big trouble. York is there. Demmer is there. Same with Stephen Golder. We go back to caution. And York is upside down. You could just see that one coming. That was brewing. for a couple laps. Steven Gollner around in the pit lane. Detmer in the wall, then York there, and the wheels just simply touched. Big impacts. And York takes the biggest impact of them all in turn 1. Here's a look at the onboard. I want to ride on board with Steven Gollner, see the impact he had. Oh no, this was afterwards. Watch this. That will go to his onboard. Gonna come on in. No brakes, basically. And we won't have it, unfortunately, so... It didn't come before. That yellow flew late, that's the reason why, so... Should have 1 lap to green this time by. Single file here for the rest of this race. Come back to the green with 21 laps of racing to go. Chapman holds. Looking to change your race here from 4th this time. Bixler's got to deal with another Bandy. Jesse Bandy, my oh my, from 21st up to the 4th spot. Give credit to Brian Morris Sr. Started 16th, he's running 6th. Bob D. Good, wheel to wheel. Oh, look out, net code. Oh, they hook, hey God. Goodness gracious, how do they both keep it straight there? Meanwhile, for the race lead, here comes Patrick Spangler. Slide job, Spangler. New race leader, the 39. Blake Chapman, though, counters it back, but watch JT Bandy following suit into turn 3. Who does he go with here in this situation? New leader across the line. Yes, Patrick Spangler. A slide job there. Blake Chapman tries to counter it back. On board the 20. We are halfway home here at Port Royal. The cross flag's up. Bandy clipping the wall with the fuel bar. Look at these drivers all slipping and sliding off for turn number 2. First side-by-side battle in the back. Jeff Barker, Pat Boyce, Brandon Dittmer trying to recover. You can see the same as well for Terry Landis. Look at Dittmer trying to send her out for turn 4, but can't find its way around Pat Boyce. Back to the race lead. Blake Chapman, slider of his own. Doesn't get the lead off for 4. Nearly hits the bump of the banking. And Spangler hangs on. He didn't make it lose second. Look at JT Bandy. Holy moly. He may be a novice in coast-to-coast racing action, but my gosh, does he have the speed with the best sprint car drivers in this league. Oh, and he's up on the wall. This is like watching. Take earlier this year the World of Outlaws at the Oswegan Speedway when you had Dylan Westbrook leading. You had Jordan Thomas leading on those 2 nights. Caution flag waves. Like, take that for example. You had those 2 drivers leading. Yellow out for Pat Boyce and John Short. One of them upside down, it was Boyce. Or you had Travis Arens from Wisconsin with the big upset. See what happened here with Pat Boyce and John Short. It starts with Short in front. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Belly pan into the billboards. Goodness me. That's a heavy impact. Take a ride on board here with John Short, and we'll see what caused all of that. He was just really sideways. Too much yaw in the center of 3 and 4. And there's the impact from Boyce. Gosh. Another car was involved. Couldn't tell, though, who. So, pair of Bandy drivers now. The Bandy brothers are in this battle in 3rd and 4th. So, a restart coming with 12 laps to go here. Spangler now the leader here on this restart. He's got Blake Chapman next to him in 2nd. JT Bandy 3rd. Jesse Bandy 4th. Steve Bixler again with a career night for him so far. Rounding out your top 5. We're back to green. Spangler able to hold serve here on this restart. I will mention with Bixler too, should he hang on, that would be his first ever top 5 of the Renegades. His best finish, 8th, 2 years ago at Lucas Oil Speedway. Trying to grab 4th. Where did Brandon Dimmer come from? Was involved in an accident earlier tonight. Look at the drivers in 4th and 5th. Bandy up 17. Dimmer up 15. Had to lay back because of Jesse Bandy with an exit off turn 4 having an issue there. My goodness. And Mr. Mayor, if I jinxed you, I apologize. 9 to go, and all eyes turn to the race for the lead between the two best drivers in Coast to Coast. Patrick Spangler, Blake Chapman on board with the Salesman. Is it going to be a hometown win for Patrick Spangler, or is it going to be a popcorn win for Blake Chapman? Slide job by the Salesman. Chapman back out to the point. Let's not forget as well, couple seasons ago, these two were battling for the win at Port Royal, and they got into each other in turn 3 in the final lap. Chapman to the race lead now with 7 to go. And they both lost the win because of it. Chapman now trying to run away, and JT Bandy now tries to go on the attack of Patrick Spangler for the 2 spot. Oh, what a smooth exit. Beautiful corner exit, but Spangler slammed the door right in his face. 6 laps to go. Brandon Dittmer 4. Jesse Bandy rounds out the top 5. Dittmer and Bandy each up 16 spots tonight. 20th and 21st respectively. Bandy sideways off for turn 4. Dittmer back up to 3rd with 5 to go. Port Royal has actually been one of the better tracks for the Spider Monkey, Brandon Dittmer. Four laps remain. Up the wall for just a moment. However, though, he has not had the results to show it in Renegades competition. best finish is a 7th. In sprint car action, he has a win back in February of last year. But Blake Chapman has turned on the afterburners. Now the race is on for P2 between the Training Wheels teammates. Did Dimmer get second at the line? I think he did. A slide job on Spangler. The Spider Monkey up to P2. But now he needs to find 0.8 of a second on Blake Chapman to get the job done. I don't think he's going to do it. White flag waves. Final lap underway for Blake Chapman. Last week was a night he wanted to forget. A 16th and then a 7th. But the Galen's homegrown popcorn. Crate Sim Racing 20 off for turn 4. Checkered flag waves. Blake Chapman with the win. Brandon Dittmer from 20th to 2nd and possibly the fastest car at the end. Patrick Spangler 3rd. And a hell of a debut for JT Bandy. The Rebels winner earlier today finishes 4th in his first ever Renegade start. And Jesse Bandy, what a drive from 21st to 5th. Damn it, I love sprint car racing, man. Holy moly. That's what it's all about right there. Oh, man. Top 14 results on your screen. In fact, let's see if we can actually try and pull them up here. We had to restart earlier on tonight, so... So yeah, we had nothing, so we'll just show you the results here. So Chapman the winner by a half second on Brandon Dittmer, with Patrick Spangler finishing in 3rd. Good run for Jeff Barker in 7th. Brian Moore Sr. in 8th. Terry Landis kept it consistent tonight with a top 10 finish. Fortunately, won't be able to bring up the rest of the field, just your top 14. Patton 15th, Boyce 16th, Grandy 17th, Stephen Goldner 18th, Chris Schaefer 19th, Rick Main 20th, and Stephen Fernberg in 21st. Well, let's bring in the 3rd place finisher and talk to Patrick Spangler. Patrick, what more did you need though in those final 10 laps or so there on Blake Chapman?
I just can't finish a race out this season. I've lost a lot at Lucas Oil at the end. This one took the lead twice, and I had it for a while, and then I just got uncomfortable up top, and then I thought JT Bandy was going to beat me, and I thought he passed me, and then I see the Aaron Rachel thing on the bottom of the wing, and I was like, man, Dittmer came out of nowhere. he came, because I scrolled down the previous caution, he's like 7th or 8th, and then he's passed me. I think he was like 3/10 faster than anybody else on the track at the end, so that was a heck of a race by him, but that was fun. Me and Blake there battling back and forth. Good, clean racing. Nothing, no funny business on the starts. That was fun.
What worked well with your car on this track tonight?
I was experimenting with the wing angle there, just moving the wing back, and usually I tend not to do that, but as soon as I moved it back, it instantly felt more comfortable. That's when I was able to pass Blake, and then on the restart when I had the lead, I was like, maybe I'll put it back down to like 0 or 1. Yeah, that didn't work. I couldn't get the front end down out of the turns, just was bouncing everywhere, so put it back, but then I saw Blake was getting that run out of 4, so I just tried experimenting, and it got me nowhere. So I went back to the top, and then still got smoked by Brandon there at the end. So I don't know. Hopefully, get some luck here coming up soon.
Who do you want to give shout-outs to on the run?
You for the awesome broadcast. Jack and Jeff for running the league. Trangles Racing. Velocity Race Designs for the design. Blake for that fun run there. Great job by Brandon and Dad and Uncle back home watching.
We'll let you go. Great job tonight, and we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right, Patrick Spangler, the high side banger, our 3rd place finisher. On to the Spider Monkey, finishing 2nd. It's so thick you can sit on it. Oh.
You heard it, didn't you?
What the hell was that, PD?
That was you, buddy.
Well,
That was you and Eldora in February.
I know. I know.
It's fitting for tonight, though.
Yeah, it's fitting for tonight. How the hell did you do that on that thin cushion? You couldn't sit up there.
Thin. That thing was about as thick as could be. I got sent to the back like 2 or 3 times from contact and wrecks and stuff. And I was sitting 7th or 8th that last caution. And I checked my fuel. I'm just like, I got plenty of fuel to go hammer down. So I put it against the wall, and I was either ballparking it or seeing where I was going to end up.
I mean, you've been very good at this track in the past in the Renegades. It's just the results haven't been able to shown for it, whether it be a late race accident or failure there at the end. But man, oh man, you had a hot rod tonight.
That I did. And I didn't. I knew it was fast in my heat, but unfortunately, the incident sent me to the tail of the feature, which, well, I mean, that's probably, it was on me. I kind of look back, my car came up and into Rick, so I'll take the blame for that one. But I'm just glad I was able to finish through all the mayhem.
Who do I give shout outs to before we let you go?
Oh, you for the broadcast, everybody behind the scenes for Coast to Coast, all the sponsors making all this happen. I believe it was Velocity Race Designs who made this wrap, did an amazing job. All the boys over at Training Wheels Racing, all the front runners for having pretty much a clean race up here, and I lost my train of thought.
Hey, you deserve to lose your train of thought with that P2 finish. Well done, congratulations, man. We're happy for you.
Thank you, Marty.
So Brandon Dittmer finishes second. Let's get to the man of the hour. Blake Chapman, the salesman with the win. You kept it clean up front. Patrick Spangler gave you a challenge. How were you able to beat them there in the final 10 laps?
Yeah, I think my car just was very maneuverable, and I was just kind of able to hold on to the tires, I think, better than Patrick could. I could see he was kind of slipping there towards the end, last 10 laps or so, and I was able to take advantage of that, and he actually showed me a line there in 3 and 4 one time. I think he probably screwed up and didn't mean to hit it, but he came off of 4 a little early and dove down and kind of hit the middle on exit, and which really worked out for me. I started running that line because when I would try to exit on the top side, the front end would come up on me and I'd wheelie it and get sideways, and it wasn't any good. So we were able to use that line, and then 1 and 2 trying to hit the cushion just very lightly. It wasn't really powering through it much. I think going back and look at it, I'm sure Dittmer was just holding that thing wide open basically on the cushion, which I wasn't about to do leading the race. That would have scared the crap out of me probably. But hats off to those guys, especially Dittmer, for running it like that and coming home second. But yeah, like I said, this car was just able to move around. Once Patrick got around me the first time, I just started driving it a little bit different, and it responded well, and we were able to pick up a win here.
It's been a tough start to the year for you, for sure, with 2 weeks not in the top 5, but you really needed this win.
Yeah, this one feels good. I think I won the last time we were here at Port Royal, but this isn't exactly one of my tracks where I love seeing it on the schedule, and I struggled here Wednesday night in Hometown Heroes. So, to throw an open setup in this thing and come home with a win and battle out duel guys like Patrick and Brandon and all these other guys, it feels pretty good.
Well, next week USA, and that's a similar track to Port Royal as well. What do you expect going in?
Yeah, I've really never run well at USA before. I can't even remember the last time we were there. It can get pretty crazy at that track, but yeah, like you said, it's pretty similar to this track. It can get pretty rough up top for sure. So you'd have to work on a setup throughout this week here, and then hopefully we can go back to back.
Who do you want to give shout outs to? Especially that one sponsor.
Of course. First, I got to thank the parents for watching. I got to thank all the guys out at KSR, especially Shorty and Terry, for running with me tonight. I got to thank Preston at Epsilon Sprint Wraps and Andy at AJ Custom Creations. I got to thank Mauer Farm Management. I got to thank Steve at Steve's Custom Golf Clubs. And, of course, I got to thank Galen's Gourmet Popcorn. They got some of the best stuff out there. You can check it out for yourself. You can head over to their website, and don't forget to use code CART, that's C-A-R-T, at checkout for 15% off some of their very, very delicious popcorn. I got to thank everyone involved in putting this league on, and I got to thank you for doing the broadcast every week, Marty.
It's a lot better than the popcorn I had at the movies this past weekend watching F1, and I haven't even had the Galen's popcorn. I know it's better than the movie theater popcorn.
You're right. You're right. Way better than any other popcorn, Marty.
Exactly.
You're right there.
Exactly. So, all right, Blake. Great job. Congrats. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So, with that, we will bid adieu on the evening. Again, we will talk to you next week when the series heads to USA International Speedway. So, thanks for joining us here on this Monday night. On behalf of everyone at the Coast to Coast Racing League, all the fine drivers and sponsors, a great group of admins, Marty Scala saying so long. Your winners here this evening. Big congratulations to Sam Bachman, Open 358s, JT Bandy, first-time winner in Rebels, and Blake Chapman in the Renegades. So long, everyone.